Here we go, guys. A lot of people don't really know what I've done in business. I don't talk about it a lot. Like I kind of keep it a lot of a secret, I guess. I'm not saying it's a secret, but moving my company, I mean, getting a corporate eviction after a 15-year operating sailing company is a rough one. I mean, it really is. I also had my house in the name of the business because I was basically leasing it to the business in order to manage it, because the business was making money on the house during the winters. We weren't making as much money during the summer. It's a lot slower in the winter in San Diego. So during the winter, it's a lot slower. So what I was doing, I was renting out my cabin in Big Bear. Never really lived there myself. I lived for a little while in the front building, which I turned into a makeshift apartment out of a commercial building, and it worked. But really, I was renting it out to Airbnb, and I was making money. But I paid for the majority of my house myself, and one of the ways that I paid myself through the company is, instead of receiving payment for myself in the form of a check, I actually paid myself in dividends. And those dividends came in the form of paying for the house that I was going up to regularly, staying at sometimes, and remodeling and maintaining for the company as a rental revenue generator. And so I actually got to buy my own house, but I didn't put it in my own name. I put it in the name of the company. And the company and we can work out lease agreements, essentially. Like, I'm trying to put this in pragmatic terms so you understand the principle of what I did. And that's where I didn't need to own my company in my own name. Sure, very valuable for your credit to have your first mortgage, but if you have a company that owns that business, it's making money off of, if you have a business that owns that asset and it's making money for that business, you have all rights to claim it as your business and as an asset owned by the business, meaning every dollar I spent on remodeling that place was allowed to be written off. So $20,000 remodel expense, a couple months time, written off as expenses from the company against the hundreds of thousands of dollars I was making chartering sailboats in San Diego, hence allowing me to have a house, remodel it, and not have to pay taxes on any of it, make money on it, also not have to make taxes really on any of it, because the amount of revenue generated by that company wasn't a fraction in comparison to the amount of revenue generated by San Diego Sailing Tours. That being said, essentially, I paid for like half that house, most of that house actually, myself on the down payment, and covered the payments. And I also shifted my pay from a form of a paycheck that comes to Kyle Corbett into a paycheck that comes to a mortgage company. Actually, it was a private bank I bought it from. Crazy or not, somehow I end up working with these ex-NFL players. I don't know how Anya puts me on shows in LA and does these radical hip-hop and comedy shows that I'm learning from, and kind of repeating some of the same strategies he's taught me here. And the other NFL player in my life is the one who gave me the mortgage on my house. I couldn't buy my house. I bought it on a P&L. I didn't buy it with credit. No FHA loan. Nothing like that. No land, housing, government, subsidiary loan, nothing. No big bank. That's right, no big bank. I bought a house with no big bank. I'll bet you didn't do that when you bought your house. I bought it from a private lender. Almost hard money lender. Fine line between private and hard money. If you don't know what that means, don't be trying to use ChatGPT to fucking game the world. Learn it like it's a new cell phone. You don't get it. But those who are savvy in business, read my book, understand some of this stuff. Run your own business for 20 years and have to make all your own money on your own, cover everybody, and pay everybody. Interviewing nonstop. It's a lot different, but the way I was able to shift my asset was, hey, after the corporate eviction, my house was retitled into the name of another LLC that owns other assets for myself and my business. Simple moving of assets under corporate protection trees, and one business was making money and had a big asset being boat, car, truck, house. That house moved to another LLC. Owned or not owned by the same. It could be either. It could be owned by that company or that company owned by the other company. You can set it up however you want, which is kind of crazy. You really have just the whole world to you. If you want to set up a business, you can structure it however you want. People think, I got to watch all these YouTube videos and figure out how to structure my business. And it's funny because some of the marketing people that I've hired the last couple of years that are doing things for me online and helping me with various different tasks, from web design to graphic design and coding and things like that, they asked me about this, and like, how do I get legally protected like that? How can I keep my tax structure like you are, Kyle? And it's like, dude, I am not an accountant. I am not a CPA. However, I have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars every couple of years on CPAs giving me advice, doing my monthly books, and these people do your monthly books and also tell you where you're doing good and bad in your company, kind of, and hey, this is there, this is a little messy here, I'm not really sure how to read these numbers here, and it forces you to be very aware of how to read the Bible of your own P&L spreadsheets from day of inception until the current day. I learned all that. My house shifted into one of these strategies that I was taught by accountants that are legal, work, and are tax advantageous strategies. And you know, I ended up basically not having to pay taxes when I sold my house. I didn't pay. I avoided a lot of big bills that most people wouldn't be able to. Most people don't have an LLC or corporate structure. It is warm in here and I am sweating. But most people don't have an LLC or corporate structure in order to set up their entity under or know how to manage assets within the limits of an LLC corporate veil. And this corporate veil can really save you tons of money in taxes if you understand how to play the game and how to pay for what you need to, where you need to. And if you're not making tons of money, it doesn't really matter. And if you're a person who works for yourself and someone's paying you, you can't get out of the taxes. I'm sorry, but I don't have a solution for you. I don't think many CPAs are really going to have that robust of a solution for you either. They're going to charge you roughly the same they charge me to file their taxes, probably more actually. And I'm going to have a whole set of different things I can do running LLCs and businesses. And, you know, Kyle, me? I don't know anything. What do you think you can take from me? I think this computer is, I own that. I own my phone. I own my dog. I don't own this camper. This camper's not mine. This camper's owned by an LLC that sold a house that had revenue that now played the tax offset gain and bought something with it. My Tesla? Another story, and I'll show you how you can own something and lease it back to your own corporation. But am I paying for the Tesla? No. Am I going to be paying the payments on it? I bought half the Tesla. I bought a 2-year-old Tesla, and I'm paying 3-year-old Tesla. Okay. But I'm paying half the taxes. Sorry, I'm paying half. I paid half for half of the car. I'm saying this wrong. I paid for half the car, and the other half of it I've got to finance. And that other half of it, I don't plan on paying those bills. They will be paid. However, those bills will be paid on a corporate lease, where myself as a person is leasing a vehicle to my business that is allowing me the ability to promote Kyle Corbett as a brand, generate tens and tens of thousands of views online every week, and that's allowing me to manage myself as a business. And that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't realize how to structure. Part of what I consult on, and this is an easy one, this is actually kind of a funny one, because people ask me for the tax consultation structure and how I can help them advantageously make a good, tax advantageous strategy, essentially. And I can give them that information. They don't usually need more than an hour. It's hard for me to have the 20-minute call, which my 20-minute call is always $100. It's $99 to chat with me for 20 minutes to see if it's a way to work together. You'll gain something from that. I can guarantee you. Right? 20 minutes will give you $100 of value. Shoot, you know, I want to make a guarantee right now for all my consultation clients and every one of you who booked a 20 with me that are doing 99 minutes about how you can make your business better and how you can make your life awesome and not have to be an employee. Some of them just want to beat the rat race. I don't have a lot of clients like that. My clients have already beat the rat race. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to teach at a level that doesn't bring me to my next level. So if I'm teaching at a midline level and you're already making money, you're going to teach me things and we can move forward together. But in all honesty, if you're really, really low on the totem pole, you're still working for somebody, you're not making a lot of money, please take it with a grain of salt. Do not be offended when after our 20-minute conversation, you receive a text from me a day or two later saying, I don't think it's a good fit. It's hard for me to send those texts. But what I do want everybody, if you've gotten that notice from me and said, hey, you know what? Here's and I always send in a couple tips about your business. I always give you a couple of pieces of advice. And Spectrum at 909. I sold this property 9 months ago, and they are still calling me for a bill that I have nothing to do with. Hello? Let's see what they have to say. Oh, they just hung right up. Man, these companies are ruthless, especially the Fortune 500s. You got a cable bill that wasn't mine, that was taken over by my tenant that I had living there for 2 years after I stopped vacation renting the place and did a permanent rental. And guess what? That's not my bill, yo. I canceled my service with you guys, and you transferred service over at the same address as somebody else, and somehow they keep hitting me up. Thanks, corporate America. Ping me for things on my credit that had nothing to do with me, that I never signed a deal to. Literally what they do. Something you might want to look into too. If you're dealing with debt and the big corporations, they're evil in America. They're haggardly evil. You may not owe what you think you owe. You also may not be well advised by your, I'm not giving you legal advice, but just so you know, nothing in here is to be construed as legal advice. Please do not accept any verbiage you hear me spit out here as legal advice. But you may not need to pay as many taxes as you are. Most people are happily willing to just get the government off their back and be happy with their return check. That's silly. I can explain why that's silly later. But fight for your taxes. Pay as little as you need to. And learn the rules. If you are receiving a paycheck from somebody, you are going to be the brunt of our nation, and thank you for being there. You are literally the ants that are carrying the rest of us. You are literally the ants that are carrying the corporations of America, even the small businesses and the medium-sized business. My business was never even a medium-sized business. I had a small business. But guess what? You're the ones carrying us. You ants. Yeah, I called you an ant. Don't get offended. But you know, you're the blue-collar worker that runs our country. And right now, you ants are able to lift more than most other people can. And statistically speaking, every one of you with a physical labor skill is now making more money per capita than you ever have been against the rest of American population, because the office jobs are going away. Things are changing big time with AI, and guess what? Skilled labor trade is huge. So I'm focusing on that as the biggest powerful ants, but everybody who works for any organization whatsoever, those of you who work for big corporations, you're the shittiest ones, you're the tiny ant. Those of you who, those of you who are blue collar workers with a skill, welding, carpentry, plumbing, electrical, real skills that people need done in their house, their rig, and that are real skills, you're top notch right now. And you, I consider to be the big badass ants. You're the big badass ants carrying our country right now. Because us business owners, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, big businesses, and the humongo corporations all rely on your ability to be there. All these data centers that are being built by AI, I am living in a campground right now that is full of AI infrastructure builders. Rig over there, the blue truck in the distance, riggers. Tent off in the distance, welders. Underneath this truck here, if you can see the sights over there, there's 2 other RVs. You'll see past this RV, if you look real closely, I can't zoom in on the GoPro, but you're gonna see 2 other RVs. Chris, welder. My buddy Tiny, Jake, welder. You know what they're making? They're creating cooling systems that are now being billed to you. That's right, to you, the residential person, either renter or owner of the place. You're paying the taxes to cool humongous AI data centers. So AI data centers are the exact same thing as a regular data center. And if people don't know what a data center is, learn. But they're server farms, and this is where we keep all of our data online. It's all up in the cloud. It's not up there, guys. It's not. It never was. I was gonna say it's not gonna be, but Elon's been making big moves, so who knows? But the point is, data centers are where we house all of our data. I've got probably 4 or 5 different cloud services that I pay every month in order to keep my files, my notes, my photos, and a whole Rolodex of all the things. Everything you need from San Diego Sailing Tours. If you want one document that we went through 1 week during the 15 years I owned it, I got it, and I can still give it to you. Crazy, right? Super, super awesome thing, data centers, but all they are is servers. It's a server farm. If you don't know what a server farm is or a data center is, it's basically like, look at my cupboard here. Imagine this whole thing being a cupboard full of little computers, all stacked, being cooled, powered, run, and these are like hard drives. You used to have the hard drives back in the day where you plug them into your computer and you store your data on that, you put it in a closet somewhere safe, and that's where all your family photos are, right? Those of you who remember that day, that's what a server farm is. It's what a data center is. All it is, it's a ton of big ass hard drives all wired together and tied into the internet so you have access right away. Most people have no idea how any of this works, which also blows my mind because the majority of the world think they know about AI, but you don't know anything about AI. You have no idea how AI works. You don't even know what it is. All it is a robust data center with a neural path on their learning computers, which means, yes, learning computers, you've typed in a word incorrectly 5 times, that's a regular word in your life, into your iPhone, and somehow eventually that iPhone remembers it and realizes, oh, he's not spelling this incorrectly, he spells this particular word that way, this is a word to him. Seas Life, S-E-A-S-L-Y-F-E, life you find exploring. This is not English language vernacular vocabulary. It's not going to be found in the Webster's Dictionary. But guess what? All of my computers and cell phones, Samsung or iPhone or whatever computer brand it is, they recognize it and then they start auto spelling out Seas Life. Even if I spell Seas Life wrong, it will recorrect it to the way that I normally do it. This is nothing more than a learning system or a system that learns on itself. This is a large language model. Now you stack 5 of those computers together on the same table over here, and you have 5 computers learning on each other and also able to not just look at, hey, Jason types in J-S-O-N. He skips the A in his name. Jason is Jason. Okay, now this computer remembers every time I communicate with Jason, it's Jason. This computer, this computer, this computer, and this computer, they're not there, use your imagination, are now communicating the same thing. He's not sure what this person is doing here, but this computer's like, yo, I don't know how to interact with this guy. I think he's spelling his name incorrectly. Oh yeah, no, he spells it this way. Ah, cool, J-Son. Now you have 2. Think of it like a human mind. I think that's the easiest way to think of it, even though computers aren't humans, obviously. But a neural network works like this. Here's one inference or thing that you learned in the past at one point. Here's another computer over here that needs to understand how to work with this person, but also has a cabled wire to here to say, hey, can I tap into your brain and see what that was like? That's like you wanting to learn how to ride a bike, and instead of your uncle teaching you, him saying, here, let me link you in to the thought I had when I was learning how to ride a bike, and I fell 3 times, and eventually I figured out, here's why I fell, here's what I did wrong, and then you can just have that thought. Now,